Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, there we go. Good evening, good evening, good evening. I hope everybody's having a great evening, a great Wednesday in general. I am coming on to hopefully be brief. I say this every time. I really do mean it when I say it. But tonight I want to, just wanted to pop on because I want to touch bases with you guys and do it on a frequent basis so that I can share information with you and, you know, we get a chance to do some interacting. So that's a big part of it. I am talking tonight. Somebody was talking, it actually was a couple of different things that happened today, but one of them was someone was talking about why people never get started doing the things that they say that they want to do. Even though there might be something that's really, that they feel is important, they may never take the effort, put the effort into getting the thing started just because, you know, it's hard to get started doing things sometimes. We need a little bit of motivation. We need you have to put some effort into it, and sometimes we just don't have the energy or the effort, or we don't want to put forth the effort to get the end result that we desire. And so that was one of the things. And the other thing was someone was mentioning that they were not moving forward with their career goals and career aspirations because they were afraid of change. And so those two in my mind just kind of go together. And so I wanted to pop on and talk about that just a little bit tonight before everybody retires and goes to bed. So that's what we're going to talk about. As you come in, say hello so I can say hello back to you so that I know who is on the live with me. I am going to go right ahead on and get started. I am Vashona Weatherspoon, career strategist and excellence accelerator, helping women who feel frustrated in their careers to emerge from stuck and surge to their next level of success. I'm also the host of the Know Your Worth Career podcast, which is centered around helping women to navigate some of the murky situations. I call them murky situations that we experience in the workplace when it comes to having equal pay, having equal access to opportunities for advancement, having fulfillment and satisfaction in the work that we do. So we bring on special guests who come and talk about different issues in terms of whatever their expertise is to help us to come up with some solutions to resolve some of the issues, the common issues that women face in the workplace. So before I jump right in, I want to invite you to like and share this video, tag a coworker, a friend, a loved one, someone that you know is kind of stuck in wherever it is that they want to do something different, but they are not making the progress because they are afraid of making a change. And we're just going to talk about that a little bit. So invite them in, or better yet, just share just hit the share button at the bottom of the screen. So, what is fear anyway? That's what I really want to talk about just a little bit, just to kind of introduce the whole subject and give you a little bit of perspective when it comes to, you know, that paralyzing fear. Fear can be paralyzing for some people. It can stop you from ever doing anything if you allow it to. But I think the more that we can understand the thing and, you know, put it into proper and appropriate context, then it helps us to be able to I like to think of it as a movie. Weird as it might seem, you can take it and you can kind of push it away from yourself, take a step back and just look at it, kind of like you're watching a TV screen and say, oh, that's what it is, recognize it for what it is and be able to move forward. So, you know, fear is really, and whether it's fear of change, it's fear of something new, it's fear of public speaking, it doesn't matter what it is. Fear is fear is fear. And we've all heard that, what is it, false evidence appearing real or whatever. That's an interpretation of it. But it's really made up thoughts and ideas that we hold, and we, give them power over our lives, over our actions, over our destiny in some cases. I mean, some cases it really is that bad. But what I want to share with you is that when you are experiencing what we call fear, there's 4 ways that I like to look at it. And the first way is, and everybody's experienced this in some shape, form, or fashion, that whole idea of not feeling like you're good enough, you're not smart enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not intelligent enough, you're not this, that, fill in the blank enough. And those are things that we create in our own heads. Those are things that we in our minds tell ourselves. And we buy into it and we believe it, and it stops us from doing the next thing that we need to do, taking the next action that we need to take to get us to where we want to and where we need to be. But that stuff is all things that we've made up. There's no validity to it. It's just us trying to it is rooted in comparison in a lot of cases, because we're trying to compare ourselves to something out there. We're comparing our beginnings to someone else's ending. That is a common one. But it's rooted in some kind of comparison. In a lot of cases, it's where there is not really a direct comparison to be made. And if you're thinking about you and your career goals and the things that you want to accomplish in your life, that's all about you and your life. That has nothing to do with anybody else and where they are and how far they've made it or where they've made it, because you have your own life, your own goals, your own aspirations, and that's what you should be comparing your progress and your actions or inactions and everything else to. The next thing, or the way that I think of fear, is it's really based upon, we make predictions about what's going to happen in the future. We're making predictions about something that's going to happen in the future based upon something that has happened in the past. And we all know that just because something happened to you last week when you were driving down the street and you got to the bridge, maybe a rock fell on your car and it broke your windshield. But what's the chances of you getting there next week and the exact same thing happens? It's not very likely. But, we allow that kind of thinking because something happened before that is destined to happen again, because it's a similar kind of a situation. Those thoughts are things that hold us back. We're afraid that we're going to cause that same event to happen. The next thing, or the next way I think about fear, is about when we make generalizations, or we hear stereotypes, or we create our own stereotypes about the world and the way things are, and generalize it across the board. And a lot, the news is the news is one of the worst places, because there's all kinds of things going on. You listen to the news and you might be one who, just picks up some news story and it says, the economy is crashing and everybody's going bankrupt or whatever it is. And you might be prone to buy into that and, just generalize it across the board and just to take it on and accept it and as truth. When in actuality, it may not necessarily be the truth across the board. It might just be a situation or an instance that happened or that occurred, and that happened to be the case or the facts in that situation. But, generalizing and taking in all of that information and, really buying into it is a way to limit yourself and to stop your progress and to keep you stuck. And the fourth way that I think about fear is when you have those generalizations and those stereotypes that and the stuff that you got off the news, and you pick all that up, you take it in, and you apply it to yourself. So no longer is it just something that is true, that's happening out there in the world. You have decided to adopt that particular train of thinking and apply it toward yourself and limit yourself based upon whatever that idea or thought is. So, in the case of the economy is tanking or whatever, and everybody is going to be bankrupt, then you might take that and apply it toward yourself and say, oh, well, I'm going to go bankrupt. And, maybe I need to take all of my money out of the stock market and put it under my mattress. Because I want to protect my assets or whatever. And that's a silly example, but the point is, you take that general thing and you apply it to yourself, and it causes you to limit yourself in some way, which keeps you from doing the things that you need to do to move forward. So, having just that kind of general understanding about what fear is, and realizing that there is probably just a few constants or a few givens in life, and change is one of them. And nothing stays the same. That is absolutely true. I had attended a funeral over the weekend, one of my family members, and it really was an eye-opening kind of situation, because you can think back and you remember people and families and growing up and how things were, and then you come back 20 years later and everything is different. Absolutely everything is different. Nothing stays the same. That's for your family, that's for your job, your career, your children, your blah blah blah, your neighborhood. When I moved into the neighborhood where I live now, it was a totally different neighborhood than it is right at this moment. And so the guarantee is that nothing is going to stay the same. Everything is going to change. If you get a job today and you keep that job for 10 years, in 10 years a lot will have changed. So, if you're allowing fear of change to keep you chained to a job that you don't like, that is not going anywhere, that you don't have advancement opportunities in, or any of the things that you are looking for in a career, then it might be time to loosen those chains and the grip and the hold that the fear has had over you, so that you can take a chance. Because this is going to be my last scenario, but I'm thinking about if you're in a relationship, if you've been in a relationship and it wasn't the greatest, might not have been the worst, but it wasn't the greatest, it wasn't what your ideal relationship would have been, but you hang on to it because it's not so bad, it's something you can tolerate, but it's not really what you want. And then if you after a certain amount of time, you finally muster up the courage and just decide, what, if I can't have what I really want, I don't want to have any of it. And you finally, take that step forward, you get the courage up some way, and you just move forward and leave it alone and let the chips fall where they may. And then you find out, oh, I'm relieved. Or people who've been in really bad relationships and they were afraid to leave, and once they did, they were so relieved and wondered, why didn't I do this years ago? So it's the same kind of thing. You can stay in the position that you're in, and you can create all these wild ideas about what could happen, what might happen, what, all these scenarios, because it can go on and on and on and on. You can do that and stay stuck. Or you can muster up the courage and make a decision and take an action and see what happens. Because you just want to really think about, what is it that you're really afraid of. It can't be the change, because change is happening all around us every day, all day, every day. So it can't be the change itself. I would encourage you to really dig deep and figure out what is the thing that you're really afraid of. Are you afraid that you're going to fail? Are you afraid that you're going to make a change and you're not going to like the new situation, that it's going to be a worse situation than the one that you're in? Like, what is it really that you're afraid of? And once you know what that is, that empowers you, for one, and puts you in a better position to be able to make decisions so that you can determine, and if it did happen, then what? Like, what is the worst thing that could happen? If I left my job and I left it on good terms and I was a good employee, then if I decided I wanted to go back, more than likely, if there's any way possible, they're going to want you to come back, because they miss a good employee and, you know, would like to have them back if they can. That happens quite often. Or, you know, you get there and you decide you don't like it for whatever reason. Guess what? You can start looking for something else. It could be somewhere else. It doesn't have to be back where you were before. You can just keep moving forward until you find the thing, you get the thing, accomplish the thing that you want to have, and not limit yourself and pigeonhole yourself into one spot, one position, because you're creating all of these imaginary things in your head about, you know, how it's not going to work, what part of it is not going to work, to what degree it's not going to work to, and all of these different things. So, this is my soapbox, as you can tell tonight, because it's something that I'm really passionate about, which is, you know, just at the end of the day, in order for you to have what it is that you want in your life, to have the kind of life that you want to have for you and your family, to be able to leave the legacy that you want to leave for your children, your children's children, your great-grandchildren, whatever, for the society, for the community, whatever, you have to be willing to do some things that make you a little bit uncomfortable, because you have the perfect recipe for getting what you have right now. You have the perfect recipe for that. But in order to do something different, to have something different, you have to take some different actions, take some risks in some cases, and, you know, see where it goes. None of us have a crystal ball. We don't know what, you know, tomorrow is going to bring. We don't know what's around the corner. All we know is that when we, you know, have something that we feel really strongly about, that we really are passionate about doing and wanting to achieve, and you want more, you want to, you know, experience more, to be able to share more, to give more, to whatever the thing is, that it requires something different than what you've been doing now. And that's the one thing for sure that you know. And so to get it, you need to be willing to step out of that comfort zone. Step out of your comfort zone and follow your journey. I mean, the excitement is in the journey. The learning is in the journey. The happiness, the fulfillment is in the journey of, you know, kind of moving along, becoming more of who you are and who you're supposed to be and what you're meant to be and what you're destined to be. All of those great things happens in that journey, because if you don't ever get on the road, you never get there. That's the end of my soapbox for tonight, okay? I hope that you have gotten some little nugget out of what I've shared with you tonight. And if you are someone who is, you know, kind of stuck in that whole idea of being afraid to take risks, to do different things, to change up that career, if that's what you want to do, to switch out that relationship, if that's what you want to do. I'm not talking about relationships tonight, but that was my scenario. But if that's what you want to do, then, you know, do what it takes to get you where you need to be. And that's all I'm going to say for tonight. I would like to encourage you to like and share this video, of course. If you are not in Straight Talk Women, Careers, and Money, and you are a experienced 9-to-5 employed woman who is looking for a group where you can have some fellowship and networking, support, accountability, and education and help, you know, really figuring out how to get to where you want to be in the next iteration of your career, then I invite you to check us out at bit.ly/straight talk with Vashana. That's bit.ly/straight talk with Vashana, which is my first name. And, we'll be happy to have you among us. That's all I have to say. So, I hope you have a good night. I will see you tomorrow. Toodaloo.